Hi, I'm Michael Newrock, and welcome to the Forex Market Analysis for October 6, 2017. I'm just going to go through the charts, see what we have available to us as far as trade opportunities. It has been a fairly slow week. Earlier in the week, Monday, Tuesday, I pointed out both Euro Pound and Euro Kiwi. If you're not in the chat room, make sure you head over to the chat room. I'm in there regularly, as are many active traders, so it always helps to get a little bit of insight and have me available to answer any questions and see what I'm thinking, as well as in addition to these market analysis videos. Alrighty, so it has been a slow week. We'll go see if we can find any opportunities. Gold, we're currently on. This is on the 4-hour. We're currently in a downward move. It's 4 out of 6 higher time frames are pointing down. If we pop up to the daily, it has reached real lows here. It's sitting on this previous support, and you can see here on the daily, it's been moving pretty steadily down. Even on the weekly, it is showing as a weekly upward trend, which it is because the fast-moving average is above the slow-moving average, but the price actually is telling us a different story. In the last 4 weeks, it's been consistently going down. Now, if it breaks through here, then we'll have to rethink. But if it pops back up, then we're still in the midst of an upward move. We do need to see some upward move for that to hold. Now, the MACD is still above the zero line, so that's good in regards to gold continuing to head up. But for the last 4 weeks, it has been going only one way, and that's down. Now, at this stage, it's pretty risky to go short on this pair, so I would be looking at some correction, and maybe if we get a bidirectional market again, a possible move to the upside might be the way to go. But try not to pick your bottoms or your tops. It's all about seeing what the market is going to give you. And at this stage, it's downward, but I don't see any trade right now. Euro is also downward. 5 out of 6 higher time frames are pointing down. We're currently at this support right here, very similar to gold. And if we look on the daily chart, we can see that although we've had a really big move up since, April this year, it's been going pretty much one way. We have seen a move to the downside. However, it is pretty gradual, and as well as this support here on the daily, you can see we're right on the support here. So again, I wouldn't be looking at any trade just yet. And you can see on the weekly chart how pronounced the upward move has been. So the last 2 weeks have been down, but overall it's still up. So with that in mind, I would, like gold, be looking at support, pushing stabilizing this price, and if we get a trend trade to the upside in at least a bidirectional market, then it may be a good one to look at, because euro still has been fairly strong, even though it's been moving down against some of the other pairs, and we'll take a look at them in a moment. So pound also been going down. 5 out of 6 high time frames are pointing down. This would have been a fairly risky swing trade to take, because it was just so far away from the inception of the trend, being the crossover of the moving averages. These ones were great. What's it going to do now? Well, again, not a good market to get into right now on a short trade. Weekly still pointing up. Let's look at the daily. Daily has just moved to the downside and may continue to go down quite a bit more. But on the 4-hour here that we see, the horse is bolted on this one. It's already gone. So if you captured any of these swings, congratulations. But no traders for now. Euro pound, now, I did point this one out as being a fairly decent opportunity to the upside, and actually has proved to be right. 4 out of 6 high time frames are pointing up. We didn't actually have any trend trade for technical reasons, it just wasn't valid. But we've had a good swing here, a swing here, and a swing here. So all three of these swings have proved to be successful. And I think there's quite a bit more movement in this pair to go. The next level here would probably be around here, the 89.80 level. And then, we had this this high here at 90.47 thereabouts. So you can see that it went range bound during this period, and I would expect some resistance either on the lower or the upper band of this consolidation patch. But it is going upward for now, so that's the direction that I am playing as well. As I always say, my only loyalty is to the market. So it's just important to listen to what the market is telling you, and don't try second guessing it or go the opposite way. Go the way the market's telling you. Right now, it's saying going up. So who knows? It may stop, or it may continue up to this range bound band from previous back in early September. And if you did take one of these swings, then fantastic. That's been a good trade so far, about 80 to 100 pips depending on where you got in. Pound Swiss, usually the reverse correlation of the euro pound, and no different here. 5 out of 6 higher time frames are pointing down, and that's the way that I'm looking at. A reasonable trend trade over here. Didn't go anywhere. In fact, it just went sideways for a couple of days. And we had this swing that also went sideways for a while, dropped eventually, and we've since had 2 more swings. But they are getting now fairly far, and it's a very gradual decline, in price. So if you got another swing here, you probably wait for a bit of a correction, then a swing down. You've got the manual controls as well, so you can execute a trade manually and have it managed automatically. But it would be a little bit risky. Let's have a look at the daily and see if we can clarify this a little bit more. Well, this is really interesting. We had a huge upward move here. Of course, with these videos and with anything I do with Trend Profiteer, you can see I don't cherry pick trades, and you can see for yourself how successful it is if you just follow the system. Now, we need to have the trend follower change to red here for this trade to be valid. There has been a big drop. I like that, but it has slowed a lot today. Now, if we get a movement down, then we're really setting up for more falls as from Monday, with a daily downward trend trade in place. If we go to the weekly, just out of interest, yeah, it's been very up and down and really range bound. So as far as the pound Swiss, again, go which way the market is telling us, which in this case is down, and that makes sense with the euro pound going up, being that they are almost a mirror reverse of each other. Aussie, 5 out of 6 are pointing down. I've been bearish on the Aussie for quite some time. If you've been tuning into these videos or previous, you'll know that. And it's not disappointing me. It's continuing to move down. The Aussie is under a fair bit of pressure. If we just look at the daily here, daily has formed a new trend trade about a week and a half or so ago, and it's cleared previous support levels. So we might find some resistance here at this previous point, which actually acted as resistance. It might actually act as support. Sorry, I think I misspoke before. We may be looking at support around 77.13, 77 thereabouts. That would be a psychological number to break through as well. If we can break through 77, then we could be looking down the barrel of 76 or even 75 for further drops. The weekly is showing upward here, but again, price is telling a different story. The last 4 weeks have been consistently moving down. So unless there's a big pop now, I think it's a time for further falls in the Aussie. Kiwi's been even under more pressure than the Aussie, and that's why, just skipping forward a bit, on the Aussie Kiwi, you can see it's been moving up recently, even though 4 out of 6 are pointing down. So back to the Kiwi, 6 out of 6. It's a royal flush on the Kiwi. 6 out of 6 are pointing down. If we go to the daily, this is on the 4-hour, of course. On the daily, we can see new trend trade has formed, and on the weekly, this will be interesting. We can see that we've got a new possible weekly trend trade, so quite significant here. Still need that trend follower to turn red, but if it does, then everything else is in place. Stochastic has already crossed over. MACD is below the 0 line, and RSI is below the 50 line. So all in all, it's looking quite solid as far as possible drops. Now again, would you trade in? Would you go in now? Well, not necessarily. It's wait for the signal, and these two were obviously better. Just zoom that out. Yeah, no, it's really bottoming out here. So being Friday as well, end of week, not a good idea. But at this stage, Euro Pound looking likely for further gains, but that's about it. If we skip over to the dollar CAD, that has been going upward, and I've been fairly bullish on the US dollar. It's finally been taking off since September, after a bit of a basket case ride. Everyone, well, not everyone, but many traders and specialists really did or were certainly expecting strong US dollar growth this year. The fundamentals were pointing that way. I'm a technical trader, not a fundamental trader, but it's still interesting to be aware of what's happening. But it didn't eventuate that way. It's just been going down. Now we're seeing upward moves, and I don't see any reason for that to not continue. If we just go to the weekly, it might tell a different story. And you can see here we've got a counter move here, but MACD is still under pressure. It's still under the 0 line. We're still in a downward weekly trend move. So no trade there as far as I can see on the US. Any of these would have been great if you took them, fantastic. But we're really getting to stretched limits now. So it's nothing that I can, with good conscience, suggest. Dollar Swiss has always also been going up. 5 out of 6 higher time frames are pointing up, and a very similar story to the US dollar. Daily, we're right in a good spot here. We've had a couple of good. Well, we've had the daily trend trade and now a daily swing, and it's broken. These critical resistance levels here. So we only have one more level, and that's just this one here. But these were the main ones that really stood out. It's cleared that, and it's looking pretty strong for continued movements to the upside. If we look at the weekly, this is really interesting too, because you can see that we are within, say, a week. We'll be able to validate a weekly trend trade. MACD is already above the 0 line. RSI is above the 50 line. Stochastic is crossed over to the upside. All we need is this trend follower to change green. Parabolic SAR is already displaying below, not part of the system, but certainly helps. And moving average crossover seems very, very likely at this stage. So that's on the weekly. So going back to the 4-hour, it's already stretched on this trade. Maybe wait for a correction and take a look at further moves upward. Dollar Swiss also been bullish on dollar yen. Dollar yen we're on now. Bullish on the dollar yen. Upward. It's been going well. If you got caught out on this, well, that's the way it goes. It would have been a fairly decent trade, but sometimes the first one is not the one to go for. However, decent trade nevertheless just didn't work. But all these other ones have proved fruitful. Now we're really looking in a sideway consolidation type of zone here for the last week, and these ones would have been perhaps reasonable to take, but just notice how gradual everything is. So it wasn't a very strong trade setup as a trend trade. So there may be more room, more movement to the upside. Oops, sorry about that. One of my apps popping up there. Daily, that really tells a much better picture here of where dollar yen is going, and on the daily, very strong upward. And you can see here, this is what traders are going to be eyeing off. 114.37, 114.50. So around that 114.50, there's another 150 pips in it at this stage. If we look at the weekly, we can see this is very interesting too, because you can see, again, not the greatest of trade setups, but a trade setup nevertheless. It's going to change this weekly trend trade to upward. So dollar yen has the potential of becoming a conservative upward trade very, very soon. I'd say within a week, if it continues to move up, if it pops past this parabolic star, which is touching right now, or has been, then we could get some serious movements to the upside. So I'd be very wary of taking sell trades on the dollar yen. Again, the market's telling us that it's moving upward. Although we are bidirectional right now, so it may, but just be wary of what I've showed you there, particularly on the daily and the weekly. So if you are going to sell it, then be aware to lock in your pips really quickly. At least move your trades to break even. Euro yen, a bit of a mess at the moment. I'm not even going to look at that. We've got 3 pointing down, 2 pointing up, and 1 bidirectional. That's the daily. So let's have a look. This is when the moving averages are so close to each other that it's a bidirectional call for the trend trade. And you can see here it's been going sideways on the daily chart for the last week and a half or so. So again, nothing that I would really be interested in. Weekly's been going strong. So that's more important than the daily right now. You can see that despite the daily just moving sideways, on the weekly, it's been moving strongly up. So that's the one to watch. The high time frames are always going to win out overall, or generally going to win out overall, or eventually. So, maybe wait for a possible move to the upside. The euro has been fairly strong against other currencies. So, there may be an opportunity on a shorter time frame to get in on this trade, but not really a great one at this stage. Pound yen drifting, very, very gradual. And right now it's bidirectional, so probably best to leave that one alone as well. Aussie yen, weakness in the Aussie has helped drive the Aussie yen further down, so we'll see what happens. There's plenty of room still to fall on this trend trade. Fairly decent, and we've had a nice drop, so let's see how far it goes. There's plenty of room to move to the downside, about 130 pips to this low. Kiwi yen, 5 out of 6 are pointing down, and Kiwi's under even more pressure than the Aussie. So let's have a look at the daily. Okay, very close to changing direction. Do you notice how many pairs are all at that pivotal point of transition from moving one way to the other? So again, leave this one alone for now, but looking very possible as being a strong contender for a move to the downside. If you get a correction up, see on the MACD, if it moves up a little bit, then swings down, that might be a fairly decent one to go for, because the Kiwi has been so weak. Alrighty, so CAD yen. 5 out of 6 high time frames are pointing down. Again, it's not something that I would be interested in. Swiss yen, a bit risky to move down, because Swiss often moves similarly to the euro, and the euro has been moving upwards, so I wouldn't be shorting this right now. If you get a swing down, then maybe. Certainly that would make it actually a conservative trade with the 4-hour pointing down. Euro Aussie, this one's nice. You can see here that that it's moved strongly up after this trend trade. That's what I like to see. Obviously, again, this week has been fairly slow. The moves have just been really slow, but the best thing you can do when the markets are like that is to say no more times than you say yes. You know, there's plenty of times or plenty of examples of traders feeling really strongly about continuing to trade even when the market's bad. And guess what? Sometimes they might do okay, but it really is coming more to luck than anything else. And so best to leave it alone. This one would have been a good one. It's already up. Well, it's gone up as high as 90 pips. It hit that support, the resistance, as you can see here. It's retraced, so we shall see what happens. But I've been fairly bullish on good opportunities on these crosses. So Euro Aussie moving upward on the daily as well, but nothing really to be concerned about there of getting in too quickly. Weekly is showing an interesting story. It's moved up strongly, corrected, moved up, corrected. It's been consolidating ever since. So if we get a movement up, then that's just going to add strength to the notion of the Euro Aussie moving upward. Pound Aussie, well, it's a different story because the pound has been depressed in comparison to the euro, so I'd be leaving that one alone. And the Euro Kiwi is the other one other than Euro Pound. Just well, they're not signals because we're not a signal service, but two trades that I pointed out early in the week that I felt had promise, and both have proved to be correct. So I'm pleased about that. Now, it doesn't always happen straight away. Notice the trend trade, when it first came out, looked really nice and strong, and I thought it was going to continue. It didn't. It corrected. If you stuck by the trend profiteer rules, you would have survived that because, of course, you place your stop under the slow-moving average. And then the swing, since it hasn't been the strongest of swings, as you can see here, but technically a swing nevertheless, and it's been moving upward. We still need to break this point right here, and you can see that it actually has broken it just by a bit, retraced a bit, and now moving back up. So I think the strength is with the bulls, the forces with the bulls on this one, and I would go so far as to suggest that if it breaks through this resistance again and closes, then next stop will be here. Okay, at this high, 165.30, and that's about 55 pips away. If it breaks through that, then put your party hat on. It's going potentially all the way to the top, right up here, as you can see, with this high. So there's a couple of hundred pips in that. If you took that, then congratulations. I only put in suggestions on the chat room when I feel, that there is some real decent probability of a trade going well. So this week, 2 out of 2, that's been great. Hope you guys have been doing well. Pound Kiwi, just to cap it off, has been similar to the Pound Aussie, not going anywhere. So unfortunately, I don't have any other opportunities for you today. It has been a slow week, as I've repeated throughout this video, but if you are on the Euro Pound and the Euro Kiwi, then you're in a potentially good position for further gains. Of course, last day of the trading week, be careful out there. If you do have trades in profit, seriously in profit on these 4-hour time frames, then it's okay to leave the trade open over the weekend, particularly if you've closed off some of it. If you're trading split trades, then might be an idea to take the money on one part and leave the other part go. It's your choice at the end of the day. You can do that because some of these trades last a lot longer than a week. They may last 2, 3 or more weeks. That's what we're always going for, not to trade more and more, as many trades as possible a week, but to hang on to the trades that are winners and to ride them for as long as possible. So with that, Thanks for tuning in. Remember to pop into the chat room. And till next time, good trading, live well, and I'll see you soon.